What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for Sistas on BET. This is season 6, you guys, episode number 9. And the episode is titled True Colors, you guys. So, before we jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then do me a solid favor and stop taking me out of this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Sistas on BET, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode, for me, I would literally have to say this was like hands down my least favorite episode this so far. I mean, I haven't really enjoyed all of them, but this one right here, these scenes were just like way too long, and we got absolutely nothing out of them, right? So the episode, it opens up where the last one left off. And you guys remember that Fatima walked into Karen's house after Karen said that Zach was coming over, telling Andy, Sabrina, and Danny that they need to leave because Zach was coming over for sex. And Fatima walked in, right? So when Fatima walked into the apartment, Karen was in her feelings, telling Fatima, bitch, get out of my house. And like, bitch, did you walk into my house? And Fatima was like, well, you left your door open so anyone could walk in, which is true, right? So then Andy, Danny, Sabrina, all of them were like, oh my God, Fatima, you gotta go. You gotta go, Fatima. And Fatima was like, did she tell y'all? Which they had already, I mean, you heard them, Fatima. I mean, yeah. You heard what she said when you walked in. So Fatima told Karen that, Zach don't want you and that you need to, so she told her he don't want her. Stop with the advances, like get the delusions out of your head because Zach is with me. I put it on him real good and he at home sleeping, so he ain't coming over here. So I'm gonna need you to leave my man alone. Is basically what Fatima was saying to Karen, right? And then, they were getting into it. They were about to fight each other, right? So Fatima was like, you know what, girl, the only thing that is saving you right now is the fact that you are pregnant. I was like, is she really? Because we still haven't saw a sonogram at this point. We ain't saw a sonogram. Karen is still, she still ain't showing. So is she really pregnant, right? So then, and Fatima also said we don't know who the father is. And then Karen had the audacity to say to Fatima that, your coworkers, and she was like, nah, that's Andy. I was like, well, damn, not a straight bullet to Andy. And she said, is that something all y'all do, right? So then once again, they saying, oh, Fatima, you got to get out. Fatima, you got to get out. So at one point, Zach came over, right? And, they telling Zach, you got to get Fatima to go. You got to take Fatima home. So Zach is like, Fatima, let's go. Like, don't listen to Karen. So Karen told Fatima, I feel like you just trying to make me lose this baby. Girl, if anybody is trying to make you lose that baby, it is you, because you are doing nothing but putting stress on yourself. So let's not sit here and try to blame Fatima for that. That is all on you. So then Karen said that the baby belongs to Zach, right? So she has this manila envelope, right? And she takes it and she, gives it to Zach, and it drops on the floor. In the midst of that happening, who shows up? You guessed it. Aaron showed up. I was like, oh my God, why is Aaron here? Like, this man is so pathetic. But he and Karen are, I'm realizing that Aaron and Karen are actually made for each other at this point because they're both pathetic people, right? She's chasing after Zach and he's chasing after her. She's chasing after Zach and Zach don't want her, and he's chasing after her and she wants Zach. So when Aaron came into the house, he had the audacity to tell Zach to leave. I was like, well, technically, Zach is a welcomed guest. You're the unwelcome guest. You didn't call before you came over here. So, yeah, I think you might want to put that on mute, Mr. Aaron. So then Karen's old lying ass told Fatima, that Zach took her to the coffee shop and, his dick was hard and they had sex, right? And he was like, you're lying, Karen. And she's like, no, I'm not. He said, Karen, that happened 3 years ago before I was even with Fatima. I was like, oh my God, Karen. you are doing nothing but making a colossal fool of yourself. Like, you are making yourself look desperate and delusional and just foolish, right? So Zach was able to get Fatima to leave out, right? So then once that happened, you know, Karen told Andy, like, you can go, saying that you let that bitch in my house. And I was like, Karen, how does she let her in your house? Then, she's like, I asked you to get her out of here and you didn't do anything. What was Andy supposed to do? Danny and Sabrina are standing right there too. So they could have said, come on. I mean, is you just mad at Andy because Andy is cool with her? Like, Karen goes straight to hell. So then she told Andy that she has to choose between she and Fatima. I would have been like, you know what, Karen, I'm out of here, right? So then Karen at one point went into her room. So the envelope is still on the floor, right? So Danny went and picked up the envelope to see who the father was. When she opened that envelope, she looked at it and they said, well, who is it? She said, it's blank. I was like, I know you fucking lying, Karen. So you were just trying to play a trump card at that point with Zach. Karen, that's all I got for you, Karen. Let's pause here and move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. So everybody is standing outside of Karen's apartment. Once again, Aaron is talking to Zach and asking Zach, why are you still here? I was like, well, the better question is, why are you still here? Because you weren't invited. And even at one point, Danny was talking to Aaron about that. Like, you didn't call before you showed up, but Danny, y'all do the same. Y'all did the exact same thing. You and Sabrina are there because Andy asked you guys to come over there, not Karen. So everybody is uninvited at this point except for Zach. So Zach told him, like, dude, stop talking to me. Like, leave me the fuck alone, basically, right? And so Zach then told everybody the reason that he's still staying there is because he wants to make sure that Fatima doesn't double around. So he's looking at Fatima on his phone to make sure she's going home. And then once he sees that she's at home, he's going to leave, right? So Aaron and Zach once again got into it. And, Aaron is telling Zach that, before I was a preacher, I had a different side to me. Aaron, who is afraid of you? Nobody. Go to hell, sir. So eventually Fatima got home, so Zach left, and also Danny had left to go to her date with Preston, and Andy left because she was just pissed off. At one point, Andy was like, well, you know what? I'll just stay here and make sure that Fatima don't double back. And Danny was like, girl, what are you going to do? Because when she came into the apartment, you didn't do a lick of shit, so what do you think you're going to do? She was like, well, okay, well, I'm just going to go home. So Aaron and Zach were the only two left at this point after Danny had left. And then Sabrina was there. So I love the fact that Zach mentioned his kids with his ex-wife, or his deceased wife, right? Although they weren't his kids biologically, we ain't heard nothing about them kids since. I know that her family came in, but I mean, I think he adopted them kids, right? But they ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't care. So they talk about the fact that there's alcohol on Aaron's breath, and you guys have to remind me. I don't remember this storyline that he was Yes, I do. I think I remember that season. That's from like earlier seasons when he was, talking about. I think I do remember that about him being an alcoholic or something like that. But correct me. Let me know, you guys, which season that was. I don't remember. So eventually Sabrina was able to get Aaron to leave. Aaron once again keeps talking about how he's in love with Karen, and I'm like, how many ways does Karen have to say yes, Karen's tried to move on with you, but she is in love with Zach. And again, I'm gonna ask this question, and I know some of you guys feel the way when I say this, but how is he in love with Karen, and he's only known Karen for like maybe a couple of days or maybe even 2 weeks or so, but he's already in love with her? It's just kind of weird if we're being honest with each other, but hey, ain't got nothing to do with me. So Sabrina went back into the apartment where Karen was. Karen is still in her feelings about Andy, and I'm like, Karen, you're in the wrong. Like, you invited Zach over here knowing he is engaged to Fatima, and you wanted to have sex with this man. You told him to come, and that's what other thing Fatima said, stop telling him to come have sex with you. Like, Karen, go straight to hell. Like, for real. So she's still mad at Andy, and I realized at this point that In Karen's mind, she's warped everything. So, she's thinking about the fact that at the salon, when Zach came up to her, that was him gaslighting her and leading her on to believe that he wanted to be in a relationship with her. Then taking her to the coffee shop and coming to the salon, that's also, him wanting to get back with her. Now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Karen, you are truly delusional if you really believe that. Like, if that's what you believe, then you need to go get a mental evaluation, because that wasn't the case. Like, when he saw you and came up to you and hugged you, that was relief that you weren't deceased. Him helping you with the shop, I think he's just doing it because deep down he's always going to have love for you, and he wants to help you rebuild. But other than that, I don't know where you're getting these delusions from. But the fact that she said that man is gaslighting her, I was like, girl, go to hell. So she went to her room, and then Pam showed up. And I was like, where in the hell did Pam's no acting ass come from? So Pam came in there, and, she just want to know what's going on. I called Karen, and Karen didn't answer the phone. And so, Sabrina's not really giving her any information, but, you guys know Pam. Pam likes to dig. And she asked, why is the door open? And she's like, Pam, don't even worry about it. I was like, exactly, Pam. Don't worry about it. Just let it be. Let it go. But so eventually they were gonna leave, right? So we'll pause here and we'll move forward. So the next thing, you guys, we got Calvin and Maurice. So what I will say about Maurice's character, right? You guys know that I like Maurice's character to an extent, right? When he's being the theatrical side of, the over-exaggerated gay man persona that he does, I don't like that, but I do enjoy the character, right? So Calvin and Maurice were talking, and Calvin is telling Maurice basically how, with this situation that he and Sabrina are in, how Sabrina isn't taking it as bad as him. And I really was like curious what he meant by that. Like, Sabrina's not taking it as bad as he is. Does he mean that she's not being as extreme as Maurice is? But I also do think that Maurice is being facetious, because like I said last week, Maurice has to think logically that if something bad happens to Q, then you and Q, like, if something bad happens to Q, they're gonna think that it's you because of this case. So it's very interesting. And I'm definitely gonna talk about what we saw at the end of the episode, right? So at one point, they were talking, and, Q was talking about the fact that he slept with, what's his name? Q, right? And so I was like, oh, so we're going to place some blame on Maurice, which I guess we kind of can place a little bit of other blame on on Maurice, but not a lot, right? The only thing that is the issue when it comes to Maurice is the fact that when they were talking and we know he was being facetious about them robbing the bank and setting it up, I think that's the only thing that I can say I have an issue with when it comes to Maurice. Maurice has to stop with being so joke. It's fun. It's okay to joke, right? But Maurice does it so much, and look at where we are now, right? So next up we see Zach. So Zach got home and Fatima was there, right? So he asked her, why did she go over there? And she was like, when it comes to Karen, I'm just sick of this shit, Zach. Like, I'm sick of it. So I just went over there basically to let Karen know what's up, and that was it, right? So then Fatima asked Zach, like, why didn't you pick up that paperwork that she, when she gave it to you? And Zach was like, because she doesn't have my DNA. Like, she does not have my DNA, so there's no purpose in me picking it up. And I didn't even think about that. See, here's the thing with Karen. I tweeted this. There are two scenarios that I have when it comes to Karen. Either Karen isn't pregnant or that baby is Aaron's. Those are the only two things that I can come up with, because let's go back to when Danny picked up that paper and opened it. It was a blank piece of paper. So that's why I say either Karen is not pregnant or Karen is pregnant by Aaron, and she's just, playing along at this point, because now she wants to just take little digs at Fatima, and she feels like also that she could get Zach back with this, right? So that's where I'm thinking, you guys. But let me know, what do you guys think about that situation? Let me know in the comment section below. So yeah, you guys, let's go ahead and pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. So the next scene that they gave us, they really could have kept it. Like, I'm being dead serious. They could have kept this scene, because I was really bored with it by the time we got to it. So we see Hayden, he called Gary up, right? So he called Gary and he told Gary, like, hey, so I filed those annulment papers. So Gary asked him, have you told Tamara? He says, no. He says, so what should I say to her? I was like, huh? What should you say to her? You should say to her, we went to Vegas, although y'all was supposed to go to Miami. But we went to Vegas, we got caught up in the moment and we did something that was impulsive and we should just go ahead and get this marriage annulled. So Gary was trying to give him some advice, but he's like, what, Hayden, you just gonna do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, Gary, you're the last person to talk. Look at the crap that you've gotten yourself into when it comes to Andy. Look at all the stuff you do behind Andy. So you have absolutely no room to talk about anybody at this point, right? So Hayden also says that, he doesn't want this to end because honestly, he didn't say it, but I'm saying it. Hayden is Pussy whipped by Tamara. That's what it is. So he went home and then he was talking to Tamara, right? So he's telling Tamara, like, we're moving too fast. And she's like, well, I just want to be your wife. I was like, girl, if this is, I don't know who you're convincing because it's terrible. Like, I can see right through Tamara. So he told her that he filed for the annulment, and then she was trying to figure out, she was asking him why. But then she said, well, you know what, I'm gonna go to the room and I'm going to sleep and I'll move out by tomorrow. And it was like, no, you ain't gotta do that. She was like, no, yes I do. So then next up we move over to Danny and Preston. So we move over to their date. So Preston notices that with Danny, that she's a little bit quiet on their date. So he asked her, like, what's going on? And she told him it's all this stuff with Karen and Zach, right? And so he said, oh, okay. He told her he talked to Zach. And she said, what did you talk to Zach about? So he told her that it was about, him just bypassing Fatima and going straight on to Karen. And she's like, so you saw that? He was like, yes. Like, how did he not see it, Danny? But that's neither here nor there, right? So, Danny was like, oh, so you can give Zach advice about his relationship, but when it comes to us and ours, it's, you don't have much to say. I was like, Danny, y'all have only been in a relationship for 30 minutes at this point. And when it comes down to y'all's relationship, it's not all on Preston. Like, let's not sit here and place all the blame on Preston. Does Preston play some games with you? Yes. He played games with the whole Mindy situation. But you played into that too, right? Because the minute that man mentioned Mindy would have been the minute that I would have been like, you know what? When he told you, when Preston told you, asked you to marry him, and he asked you to marry him, right? And you turned him down, and he said he was gonna go and be with Mindy. He was gonna go be with Mindy. You still, like, from that moment on, you played into it, Danny. So I can't be like, I haven't sit here and put it all on Preston because Danny owns some of this as well. But you guys, let's go ahead and pause here and wrap up this episode, you guys. All right, you guys. So next up, we see Sabrina. So Sabrina called to check on Andy, and Andy is still, like, really pissed off with Karen. And I'm like, see, Andy is better than me because there is just no way that Karen would have talked to me in that way, shape, form, or fashion, right? You're not gonna sit here and get mad at me because you left your door open for another woman's fiance to come and have sex with you, and then that man's fiance shows up to your door ready to whoop your ass, and then you mad at me because she wouldn't leave because I said leave. I asked her to leave. Like, fuck out of here. And then at one point, Andy wanted to say, Fatima, I'm your boss. And Fatima was like, in the office. And here, you ain't my boss. And I was just like, oh my God, Andy, shut up. So, Andy's like, I can be friends with both of them. You absolutely can be friends with both of them. But what I will say when it comes to Andy and her friendship with both of them is she doesn't know how to be neutral, right? It's fine to have a conversation with both Karen and with Fatima, but despite I'm actually have to say this, and I don't even fucking like Karen, but I think you do sometimes have Fatima's back a little bit more than Karen's, right? But at the same time, Karen is very unrealistic with her friendship, right? And Karen wants to have such an issue with Fatima, but the only reason why you want to have an issue with Fatima is because you're still in love with Zach. And it's kind of like the situation is with Karen is I don't even because the Zach that she had was no good. So that's not who she wants. She wants this Zach right here, the one that got his life together, the one that got his shit together, the one that has money, the one that has his house and cars. This is the Zach that she wants. And I wonder if it's part of me feels like the issue she has with Fatima is resentment because of the fact that when I was with him, he wasn't doing this, he wasn't doing that. But now that he's with you, he's elevated, right? He's doing this, he's doing that. So I really do feel like that's what the issue is when it comes to Karen. But you guys let me know if you guys agree in the comments, you guys. So Andy told Sabrina that Gary's gonna come over, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about that. So Gary got there, right? And once again, like with Danny, he could tell that she was upset. So he went to go for a hug, and she was like, I don't want a hug. She didn't want a hug. She wanted to have sex with him, right? He was like, you're angry. She's like, she's like, and that's when we have the best sex. I was like, oh my God, Andy, this is stupid. Like, dumb. I just don't understand the storyline. Because, never mind. Because I was just about to say what we talked about last week, but we're not going to delve into that. So, Gary came and said he's not having sex with her. And now I was thinking to myself, so what was the purpose in you coming to her apartment? You told her at her office that you would be at her apartment at 8 o'clock. Then she said she'll be home at 9:30. So you said, I'll be there at 9:30. And it was to have sex with Andy. But now you don't want to. Gary makes absolutely no sense, you guys. And then at the end of the episode, we see Maurice. So Maurice went down to the, see Logan. And he is trying to absolve Sabrina, right? So he's telling Logan that it was him and Q that was behind the robbery. And I was like, oh. But then I was thinking to myself, I don't necessarily know if this is going to work the way that Maurice wants it to work. But hey, that's the episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn your post notifications on. Share the video. And until the next time, you guys, please stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Be blessed. And I'll see you guys in the next one.